Well, on July the 3rd, my wife celebrated her birthday. We won't say which one, but we do remember that it is on July the 3rd. And on August the 11th, we will celebrate 55 years of marriage. That doesn't just happen. It takes a lot of work on behalf of both the wife and the husband. And I believe the key for our success has been keeping Christ in the center of our lives. And whenever we hit a rough spot, we always worked it through spiritually and according to scriptures. I think it's really important in this day of women's lib, if you will, and men sometimes taking the position that a wife is a servant, to get perspective again on the husband-wife relationship according to the scriptures. I think if you go back to the book of Genesis in chapter 2, verse 18, it said, "It is not good for man to be alone." That was God saying that. That wasn't man saying that. That wasn't woman saying that. That was God saying that. And then I think you also notice in verse 18 that he says, "I will make a helper suitable for him." Don't tell any woman that she's not needed or that she's junk, because God said that he'd make women suitable for men. More than that, if you look at verse 21, you'll see that God is the one that fashioned woman. He's the one that designed her. Don't tell me that she's a bad design, because God designed her. And then finally, I would ask you to take a look at verse 22, where it says that God brought the woman to man. This was God's perfect gift for man. It was not good for him to be alone. He fashioned one, he made her suitable, and he brought her to man. Now, how does things get so messed up? Well, sometimes we get our roles confused. Sometimes we get our relationships confused. But God has a lot to say about the husband and wife relationship. In 1 Corinthians 7, verses 2 through 4, he talks about the intimacy that's to be between a man and a woman. It's important that both the man and the woman understand that. In 1 Corinthians chapter 7, he goes on and he also says that they're to stay together. They're to work it through when even they hit rough spots. In Ephesians 5:20, we find verses 22 and following being used only and not in full context. It tells us very clearly in Ephesians that a woman is to submit to her husband as the leader of the home, but it also tells us that the man is to love his wife as Christ loved the church and was willing to die for her. Listen, there's a cartoon that I hope that I can find to put on the front of this video that says, "It's hard to find a woman nagging or complaining when a man is helping out in the household." And so the key to Ephesians 5 is not in the fact that wives are to submit or that the husbands are to love their wives as Christ loved the church. It says that they're to submit to each other in the fear of God. That's verse 20. First Peter tells us very clearly in chapter 3, verses 1 through 7, that husbands are to live with their wives in an understanding way, recognizing she's a weaker vessel. And in Colossians 3, verses 18 and 19, it talks about the duty that they have to each other. You see, the scriptures are filled with directions and understanding of a husband-wife relationship. And if we'll just go back to those descriptions, if we'll just go look at the creation, if we'll go back and we'll look at all of the scriptures, we'll quickly find that you can have a successful marriage and that you can both be happy in that relationship. And there's not a servant-master kind of relationship, but two joining hands to work together. I think Priscilla and Aquila is a good example of that as we look at the New Testament, the book of Acts. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7 says, "Treat her as you should, and then your prayers will not be hindered." Guys, let me challenge you. Treat your wife as you should, as a gift from God. Perfect. You say, but she's not perfect. In whose eyes is she not perfect? Is it in your eyes, or is it in God's eyes that she's not perfect? And we're to treat her as the weaker vessel. We're to treat her with respect. We're to honor, and we're to continue to consider her opinions in all of the decisions that we make. Easy? No, not easy at all. Worth it? Absolutely. And that's your thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.